we online?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we're online. Hi guys, and welcome to the second official Buddy webinar. My name is Alex, with me is
Rafael,
and today we are going to cover WordPress automation. We're going to show you 5 practices that will help you deliver better WordPress themes, plugins and software faster. And an interesting fact about WordPress is that it's currently almost 40% of websites are based on WordPress. This is a huge percent, which is absolutely crazy. What do you think makes WordPress so popular?
I don't think it is crazy. It's so popular because it is very flexible and powerful, and you can set up any page very quickly.
All right, so sounds exactly like Buddy to me.
It does.
All right, so what can you do with WordPress, for example?
So you can set up simple about us page or run a big blog with thousands of millions visit per month.
Yeah, so we have a client, Ink Magazine. This is a huge website which really with lots of traffic, and they are also WordPress based.
Yes,
right.
Yes, we are proud of it.
We are proud of it and say hello. Okay. And right, Rafael, you are the CTO of our company, and you run lots of demos and calls, and personally advise developers how to on DevOps and delivery automation. How does it look in case of WordPress?
I have this pleasure to chat with our clients, and when it comes to WordPress, it depends. I have seen very simple pipelines that only deliver files to the server over FTP. And I have seen also very complex pipelines with unit test, visual test, browser test, end-to-end test, smoke test, zero downtime deployment, automatic rollbacks, and so on.
Right, so this is looks like some serious stuff, doesn't it?
Yes, it's serious stuff, but when it comes to continuous integration, continuous delivery, there are sometimes I'm thinking I know everything and I have seen everything, and when I meet another team with another use case, I'm quickly verified that there is another approach to this process.
Yeah, this is exactly what we are experiencing on Buddy support too. Like every use case is different, and this is also why we decided to ask you what topics do you want to cover on our webinar, and we got like a huge range of answers, ranging from composer automation to static page transformation to visual test, Docker, of course. And finally we decided to prepare a webinar on automation of basics like builds, tests, visual tests, and deployment to production. And a lot of those things are already covered in our guides. So go ahead and click the community tab at the top of our website, and just switch to the guides section and enter WordPress in the input search. You are going to find a lot of guides on some specific WordPress related topics. And today we are going to show you how to create a pipeline or that will help you automate WordPress like a real professional. So this also connects with the first point of
okay. First of all, this is Buddy dashboard.
Yep.
And we have to create a brand new project for our delivery pipeline.
Yeah, this is the starting
So
point.
let's create a project. So first of all, we have to connect it with a repository, with a Git repository. So this is rule number 1. Everything should be kept in the version control. So when I say everything, I mean everything. No, not only source code of your project. You should keep all your dependency list with current versions you are using. You should keep all configuration files in your repository. You should keep also, for example, database migrations in your repository. So this is rule number 1.
Whatever can be versioned, it should be versioned in the repository.
Yep. And Buddy integrate with Git. Because this is most popular version control right now, and we are integrating with GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab. You can connect to any private Git server or even push your files to the Buddy Git hosting, because we have internal Git hosting.
Yeah, you can also host Buddy on your own internal server if your company policy requires it, and then host files locally safely behind the firewall. So whatever type of version control you use, provided it's Git, Buddy handles it.
Yep. So for purpose of this webinar, we have GitHub repository. We'll connect to this repository. It's called WordPress webinar. So let's create a project. And after quick synchronization with GitHub, we already have a pipeline for our project. And this pipeline was created based on Buddy YAML in our repository, because we already have some configuration file for Buddy pipelines. So rule number 1, keep everything in version control.
Including pipeline configuration if possible. Well, it's optional, but it's useful because you just push the file to the repository, and Buddy reproduces the pipelines on the dashboard.
Exactly.
Once configured, of course.
So I will switch to user interface, because in Buddy you can configure your pipelines from the user interface perspective or from the repository perspective from the YAML file. I will switch to user interface and jump to our pipeline. So you can see there are some actions we will execute in our pipeline.
So this looks like a whole bunch of actions to automate.
Yep. Yep. So this is rule number 2. You should automate everything.
And by everything, we mean everything.
Everything. So there are few things that are impossible to automate, but almost everything you can automate, and you should do it. So let's look at our pipeline. So we will install Node npm dependencies. Then we will run some
linting
checks of our syntax of JavaScript, SCSS, PHP, install composer dependencies, and then we will compile CSS file. We will compress images before deployment, and at the end of our pipeline we will deploy a new version of our site, the production server.
So we basically download the dependencies, verify if everything is ordered, then compile and optimize the assets, and then the upload is made. This pipeline has already been configured. Can you show how a pipeline is configured in Buddy?
So
how do we do that?
This is very simple. For example, when it comes to build, you just choose Node version and write some commands you want to run against your repository. In this case, it's just npm install, and it will download dependencies to the pipeline file system. So when it comes to another action, for example, the upload action, just connect to your DigitalOcean account, choose droplet you want to deploy to, and set up authorization to this droplet. And
so just set it and forget it. So you don't need to manually connect over SSH every time.
Based on source path and destination path, we will upload files to the server based on chain set.
And all those actions are connected to one pipeline file system. So they are like the files are shared within one file system.
Yep.
Right?
Every pipeline has a disk space, and every action is executed in the context of this file system.
Right. One last thing. Could you show any other actions that we have? So
Yep. So in Buddy we have over 100 ready to use actions. You can there are, for example, transfer actions, FTP, asFTP, rsync. There are dedicated actions for build, there are.
So it's like you can build your application in its native environment.
Exactly.
In isolated container.
Exactly. There are dedicated actions for AWS, for example, for Docker, you name it. So when something is missing, you want to run some custom scripts, you can do it. Just write your own scripts, but I think almost everything is covered by our actions.
Maybe except the AWS actions, because there are like hundreds of them, but you can all handle them with the AWS CLI, for example.
For example, so you can run our actions, and you can run your own scripts and your own Docker images, your own Docker containers inside your pipeline.
And integrate stuff with whatever stack you are using. Right.
Okay, let's jump to our actions. So I can speed it up. So let's execute dependencies download on the beginning, and we will do it in parallel to speed it up.
So this is how configuration is done in the user interface. You just basically drag and drop and enter some commands and make some clicks. So no need to script everything manually.
First, we will run two actions in parallel, and once our dependencies are ready to use, we can run all linked actions in parallel as well. And if our tests are passed, we can compile CSS file and compress images before deployment also in parallel, and then deploy it to the production server. So it is very easy to add action, to move action, and to customize action. Let's see how it works.
Right.
So here we have our production site about this webinar. So this is a site, WordPress site with our custom theme, and sorry about that. This is our custom theme, and we have a source code of this theme in GitHub. So let's change it. I will change some text on our site. For example, let's edit index.php file. We'll edit it. Okay, so here is tips how to deliver WordPress like a pro. We will provide 5 tips. So, okay, commit changes.
Right.
Okay.
Did anything happen?
Yes. So GitHub sent us a webhook about new version of our repository, and based on this information, this pipeline was triggered, and we can see our execution is already in progress. Composer install are already finished. We are waiting for npm install. We can see we have some warnings about our dependencies, but
so every action is run individually in a separate container and you can check the logs afterwards on what's going on, and all these files have been fetched from GitHub and shared in one pipeline file system.
And you can see those actions are run in parallel, so it will speed up the whole process.
Now the upload to the droplet.
Okay. And after a while, this is a very first execution of our pipeline. So every file from the pipeline file system will be delivered to the server. So it will take some time, but in the next execution, the upload will be much faster because it will be based on the chain set.
So basically, it means that Buddy only picks up the changes and deploys them, and do not deploy the whole repository unless explicitly stated in options.
Okay, our execution passed, and
so how
let's
long?
go to
let's
our
check it.
let's check if
anything happened.
Okay, let's refresh our page, and we can see there are 5 tips.
So just made a push to the repository, and Buddy built the new theme, checked it, and deployed.
Exactly.
And how long did the deployment take?
So let's see it. Jump to execution list, and it took us over 1 minute.
All right, 1 minute, 12
so,
seconds.
But we can speed it up. And as I told you before, our dependencies are in the pipeline file system. So those dependencies are already cached So we will not download dependencies again until those dependencies will change.
So they are only downloaded once and they stay in the pipeline file system.
Exactly.
Waiting for other executions.
Exactly. So also deployment action will be much faster. So let's see. Let's change it again. I will, for example, make it lower and commit it.
Right.
And you can see our pipeline is already running.
So it picked the change and now it's running again, right?
So dependencies, we only checking if anything changed in dependencies. We are running all test actions. We are compiling our images, and we will download only files that have changed since last execution. Okay, and
you can see it's already much faster. Only 4 seconds for
we
the
have
deployment.
deployed only index.php file.
Okay, and the total
server,
time?
and the total time right now is 50 seconds.
30 seconds.
So okay, let's check it. And our new version is in lower.
It's
case.
not only faster, but it's actually working.
Exactly.
Is there any way to, I don't know, to optimize it even more to make it faster?
Yep. We can speed it up with configuration, with trigger conditions. For example, we don't need to run npm install every time. We only need to run it once package.json file has changed since last execution. Because in the pipeline file system, there are dependencies cached, and we can use it until the change in package.json is made. So let's go to the condition type. You can see this action is run without any condition right now, but we can choose for example, condition run it only if there were changes in the repository since last execution. Run only if some environment variables have specific value, or run it on specific day or hours, or run it only if there were changes in specific paths in the repository.
All these options were actually added basing on the requests from our users, so they are all covering concrete use cases. So
in npm install, we will add based on change set. So we want to run this action only if package.json file has changed. Okay. Yes. In the same way, we can do with composer. Conditions, run if there were changes in specific path. In this case, it is. In the same way, we will do, for example, for our SCSS compiling process. So we will run it only if there were a change in a wildcard. In this way.
CSS or SCSS? All right.
Okay, let's add it. And in this way, only if specific path in the repository has changed, those actions will be triggered.
Let's see how it works.
Let's check it. I will edit our index.php file once again. Okay, let's make it 75 tips.
This is going to be a long webinar.
No. Okay,
75 tips.
Pipeline is already in progress. Let's see how it works. We can see npm install was skipped.
Yep.
Composer install was skipped. Compile CSS files were skipped. And in this way, we have speed up our pipeline.
So it's all about shaving off those seconds, which add up the total sum.
Yep. So it all depends on your requirements, or it all depends on your repository, and you can speed it up in your own way.
All right. So once again, what was the total time of the third execution?
So, okay, let's jump to execution lists,
Execution tab.
and we can see.
5 more seconds.
Yep.
5 more seconds.
So it only takes 25 seconds to build, check our application, and deploy to the production after every change.
So we started with 1 minute and 12 seconds, or even sometimes more, and we shape it down to 25. So if you run multiple executions per day, these numbers make the difference when summarized. Right.
Second rule was automate everything. So if your delivery process contain tests, you should automate it. If your delivery process contain compressing images, you can automate it.
So whatever can be automated in case of your workflow, you should do it. And Buddy can help you do it by providing the proper tools. Now, all of this looks really nice, and we have this fully automatic pipeline. But can you tell why is it pushed on? Why is it executed on every push to the master branch? Is it safe to execute the master branch, the deployment to production, on every push?
The answer is very simple. It is run after every push to the repository because I configured this in this way. Okay, but.
Well, yes.
But you can see this pipeline will be triggered on every push to the master branch, but you can change it. So let's go to the pipeline settings, and you can see you can trigger pipeline with deployment to the production on the button click, for example. You can execute.
That's what I was referring to. So.
Okay.
Right.
So you can execute it after every push to the branch. You can also execute after push to any branch. You can set up a wildcard.
Or on pull request, or
you can run it on pull request. You can run it on tag push. It all depends on you. You can even run your pipeline recurrently on a specific time. A specific time on a specific hour. For example, you can run heavy integration tests after work in the night and have results in the morning.
Or add a monitoring action that will check the health of your website every minute or 5, something like this.
Yep. So our pipeline is set up to run after every push to the repository, because this is rule number 3, which is release often. Release often, and this is one of the main principle in continuous integration, in continuous deployment, continuous delivery.
Why so? Why should we release as often as possible? What are the advantages compared to I don't know, possible breakdown of production? Or maybe you can secure your, of course you can, I'm just joking, you can secure your production pipeline by setting permissions to it, so you can just narrow it down the executors to, for example, admins, or simply use visibility settings in Buddy to hide it. So whatever path you choose, you can configure it to be safe.
Okay, but back to on every push mode. I think the best way to release application is to release it often, because when you are release your application with small patches, with small changes, you always know what is wrong when something went wrong with your production side. So when you are changing, for example, one file in your repository and you can release it to the production, you will know that this change has broken your production server, and you can revert it in one click, because your pipeline is ready to use, and you can just select the revision and deploy previous revision to the server in a button click.
Yes, and also releasing software more often lets you get more feedback and simply add more features. And if something, like you said, if something gets broken, it's easier to patch it when it's a small change than, for example, I cannot imagine deploying an application after a year of development for the first time.
I have been there.
Yeah.
Over 10 years ago, I have developed a project, and we didn't release for a year, and it was a nightmare. Believe me, it is a nightmare for developers.
So as you can see, Rafał knows his work from the bottom up.
So the rule number 3: release often.
Release often. All right. So, but if you are to release software often, how can we make it the process? How can we make the process secure? How do we make sure that the code is ready for deployment?
So you should test it.
Plain and simple.
As you can see, we have only tests of some syntax of our code, but you can run unit tests, you can run integration tests, you can run visual tests, browser tests, smoke tests.
Selenium.
It all depends on business you have.
So basically, Buddy covers all types of testing.
Yep,
you can say like that.
You should write your own tests and run it inside Buddy to be sure that your application is healthy before deployment, and you can run, for example, smoke tests after the deployment to check if your production environment is healthy as well.
Right, and I think this also means our rule number 4. 4. Version control, automate everything, release often, build quality in.
Yep.
Yes.
So the rule is very important. Build quality in, and this is not a domain of testers. Everybody is has responsibility for the project. Developers and testers, everybody has to be involved.
Right. So if you want to introduce DevOps to your company, it doesn't mean like you have those separate silos. Like developers are here, testers are here, ops are here. It's like everybody on board and everybody is using the same tool and are responsible for the product.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So build quality in.
Build quality in. Okay. What I wanted to say is that Buddy is just a tool towards the goal. You cannot. It's not like you employ a tool like Buddy or any other CI/CD and bang, you have DevOps in your company. It's all about the
culture.
It's all about the culture. It's all about the culture, man. Right. And I mentioned in the very beginning that we had questions about visual tests. Do you have those covered in your pipeline as well?
No. As you can see, we only have tests about syntax of our code. So let's see. We are checking if our lint style is in good shape. But as I told you before, you can add actions to execute, for example, PHP unit test. But you have asked about visual test. So we don't have it in our pipeline already, but we can configure this pipeline to do visual tests before we deploy it to the production server. So first thing, to do visual tests, you have to stage your application, deploy it to another server to see if everything looks good and to test it. So
you have to test one version against another.
Yep. So we have sandboxes. This is a brand new feature.
Yeah, this brand new feature of ours. Okay, go ahead. I think I can tell a bit more about it.
Please do it.
So just you can forward to the creation screen. Like a sandbox is like a dynamically created staging environment that you can launch directly from Buddy from the selected branch. So instead of setting up your own staging server infrastructure and installing everything manually and so on, we have this feature that you can quickly launch a sandbox from Buddy and then deploy your application there for preview. So right now we will show you how to do it.
So let's add our first sandbox. So first of all, we have to choose distribution. You can choose Ubuntu or Debian. Okay. Then you have to, you can install some playbooks. So let's add a playbook. So you can choose some install, for example, MongoDB, MySQL server, Node.js. It all depends on your project.
Or so, WordPress, like here.
Or WordPress. So let's add WordPress. And in this case, you have to set up database name, username, and password for database. We'll set up WP just and add this playbook. You can see this playbook already added Apache, PHP, MySQL server, and some WordPress configurations. So and the next thing we have to select is resources. 2 GB of RAM is enough for our sandbox. We have to name it. And set URL for our sandbox.
So this is how we're going to access the sandbox.
Exactly. Let's add it, and after a while it will be ready to use.
So we have like a fully functional staging server with WordPress instead.
And this server is already ready to use, so it was very quickly. Let's open it. You can see there is a terminal. You can install your own packages if you want. For example, let's check if our MySQL is already installed.
So it acts like a regular terminal connected to the sandbox.
Okay, WP. Okay, we have connected to MySQL server. Let's show databases. And here is our database for our WordPress. So there is also, yes, I want to quick terminal. There is also file system browse. You can browse files from this server from the user perspective. There are pipelines connected to this sandbox, some snapshots and settings, and we can open it. As you can see, it is a brand new installation of WordPress. Let's select language. Let's name our site. I will copy this password for later. One moment. Okay. My email is and install WordPress. Okay, so our WordPress, fresh installation of WordPress is ready to use. We can log in. Okay.
Yep.
This is our administration platform.
So it's up and running.
Yep, and we can preview it. So you can see this is fresh installation with Hello World theme. So we have to deploy our
theme
to the server, to the sandbox.
Yep.
So let's do it. Let's jump into our pipelines. Let's open it. Here are actions, and before we are deploying to production server, we will deploy our application to the sandbox.
So this is the same pipeline, the same existing pipeline. We are just adding an action that you can upload the files to the sandbox in this project.
We have already 5 actions for sandboxes.
For management, you can start, stop, run comments, create snapshots, and so on.
So let's upload our theme to this sandbox. So source path, we will choose our sandbox. Okay, we will use another user to do it, to upload. It is www.data. Let's set it up. Okay, and we will set up remote path. where we will deploy our files. So HTML, W content, themes. Okay, we'll use this path and body. Okay, let's add this action. And this pipeline is asking us about if you want to deploy from scratch every files to this
so there's nothing
server.
there, so we should
Yep.
deploy everything.
So we'll run this pipeline from scratch. Let's proceed. Okay, upload everything from scratch and run it. Okay, our pipeline is executing. We'll deploy, we'll download dependencies, link our files, and deploy to the staging server. So it will take a while, but I think it will
be worth it.
If it will be worth it. Okay. So okay,
Of course, it's worth
our files are ready to upload, and we are uploading files to the server, and we can see logs. So let's wait a while. We will list all files we will be deployed to this server. So this is very first execution.
So it works exactly the same like the any other upload. It's also based on change set. So on the first execution, it only it deploys all files and then only deploys changes.
Yep. So something is wrong because we are uploading Node modules. So let's cancel it because I forgot about one setting. Let's go to our upload to DigitalOcean. So here are ignore paths. We don't want to upload Node modules. We don't want to upload source files, SCSS. We don't want to upload vendor files to the server. So we will ignore it like we do in DigitalOcean. So let's edit this action. Let's add ignore paths, save this action, and run it and resume it. Once again, resume this execution.
So the pipeline will pick up from the place where it stopped.
Yep. So right now we will upload only files that are needed on the server. So we'll not upload Node modules. We'll list files once again and deploy only files that we need. Okay. So we have uploaded images. We have uploaded fonts, and it took 20 seconds to upload. Let's check it. Okay, I will refresh it, and we don't see any change because we haven't
activated.
Yeah. So let's go to administration panel. Let's go to appearance, and here is our theme.
So we can see it's physically uploaded.
Let's activate it. Okay, it's activated. So let's jump to our sandbox. Open preview, and we can see our staging server is ready to use. So it was very quick. We have set up our sandbox server.
We've staged the website.
We staged the website.
Now we want to compare it with the.
So let's look at our pipeline. So there is one thing is missing because right now we are uploading to the staging server, and immediately after it, we are uploading files to the production server.
On push.
Okay. So how to change it? So we can use two actions to stop pipeline before.
To check if everything can be actually deployed.
So one action is wait for approve. So just ask action, do you want to deploy a new version of your application, and set permission who is able to approve this deployment to the production server. So this is one possibility, and the second is visual tests.
So we finally got to it.
Yep. Yes. So this is brand new action, and here we just set up URL to the side we want to compare with the baseline. So we have two sides. One is our production side. Here it is. It is baseline. Okay. And second is our staging server. We'll copy it and here. And we also can set up headers to set up authorization, for example. We can set up permissions as well.
So you can simply like restrict who can run, who can proceed with the execution to selected users.
For example, only administration or specific people can approve this deployment to the production server.
Senior designers and stuff.
Exactly. So let's add it. Okay, so our pipeline is ready to use. First, it will download dependencies, test our application, compile some files, compress some files, then upload to the Sandbox server, then run some visual tests, and these steps will freeze a whole execution if anything has changed since between production side and staging side.
So the visual test also acts like the wait for approval action. So if there are any changes, it will stop and wait for confirmation. Can we see how it works in practice?
Okay, so here I have another branch. This is staging branch. I have some changes here in this branch, and I'm going to merge this stage branch to the master branch, release it to the pipeline. Will release this new version to the staging server, compare with production, and freeze if there were some changes inside. So let's merge it. Okay, different way. Okay, we can see we have some changes in the staging branch. We'll create pull request.
Right.
Okay, and we will. Okay, something goes wrong. Because our another pipeline, another product hasn't passed. So I will change something in master branch. Just go into index PHP file. Where is it? Here is it. So I will change once again our PHP file, index PHP file, to show how it works.
100 tips.
100 tips. So let's commit it. Okay, we can see this is running.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's see what happens.
Okay, so we are uploading changes to the staging server.
So it only took 2 seconds because we literally changed
one file. And let's see our logs. We can see our visual tests are executing right now. So this action will take some screenshots of production side, of staging side, and as I told you before, it will freeze and wait for approval.
So it has frozen. So right now
something has changed.
Something has changed.
Let's see. Let's approve this change. We can see staging side has 100 tips. Production side has 75 tips. Okay, let's approve it. We can see in the swipe mode.
Oh yes, my favorite feature.
That
oh yes.
We have changed 75 to 100.
Yeah.
Okay, let's approve it. And after this step, we'll upload our. After this approval, we'll upload files to the production server. Let's refresh it. Okay, this is our production.
So it's live. So it all works. This is this is actually really impressive because the the pipeline itself is. Could you switch back to the pipeline?
Yep, I can.
This is a humongous pipeline. This is really big. I don't think that. How do you achieve such level automation? Because we said automate everything. Yeah, we know, but how do we do that? Is it like you have a schema that is ready with everything listed, what should be automated, and then you do everything at once, or how do you create a pipeline like this? What is the way towards it?
It is very simple to configure pipeline body, as I did. It was very simple to add new action, to add visual tests, and so on. But you have to write, for example, your own tests, your own unit tests, your own integration tests. So, in my opinion, the best way to achieve this kind of automation is to do it in small steps. So first of all, please keep everything in version control. Second, start uploading automatically to the server. Then build automatically your assets. Then write some tests and add those tests to your pipelines.
So like we are doing everything step by step, so I think we can right now call it our final fifth step, which is plan, do, study, act, right?
Yep. So
it's like doing everything in small steps. Do not create everything at once. Just start small. Even the deployment itself makes a huge difference, because going full automatic is the first thing that the deployment is the first thing that you should do when you employ a tool like Buddy, and then you just simply add more steps, check if everything works, and only then proceed, right?
Yep. So in my opinion, this is most important rule. You should look at your process every week, and when you look at it, you will see what you can do better. You can improve it, and in small steps, in a year, your pipeline will be very good shape.
It's like
very good shape.
There's no final step to it, because there's always some changes that are coming in. But Buddy has this nice feature that you can easily adjust your existing pipeline by simply adding or editing more actions.
Yep. And once you did it in one project, you can use the same approach in another project. Because once you have this approach, you know how to stage your new versions of sites, how to test it. You can do it in every other project you will have and you will develop.
Yeah, right. That's it. I think that we can right now summarize all these 5 steps. So that we have. In among our viewers, but if you are one of them, please do employ Git and get going. The second one is automate everything. It's like
in small steps.
In small steps, which is we'll get back to it in the last point. Automate everything possible and shave off those seconds, and you will see it was worth it. What's the
release often?
Release often. Release often step. Why do we release often? Because it's easier to fix it.
Yep, and when your business does not allow you to deploy to the production every day, you can deploy to the staging server every day. So you will test all your changes on the staging server, and you will be sure once you are ready to deploy to the production.
Git allows you to develop features on separate branches before merging them. So you can release, test it, and then when everything is working, you just merge it and everything goes fine. The next step is making sure that the quality is kept.
Yep.
So
build quality in.
Build quality in. So testing.
And everybody has responsibility for the project.
Everybody is responsible for the project. So you can't. It's not about blaming it forward, but it's like making sure that everything is working at the moment. And the last one, which is a good summary of the whole pipeline, of the whole idea, is plan, do, study, act. So start small, expand, check if everything works, expand, and rinse and repeat. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's it. All right. So this was our presentation, Rafał's presentation of WordPress focus. Ours. Okay, ours. Right. The live demo of how Buddy.Works and how Buddy can help you automate WordPress tasks. Now we will proceed to the Q&A section. Yeah, I can see we have the first question already from Hubert. Plain and simple. What about backups? How can Buddy help you manage backups, WordPress backups?
Okay, I think this is an easy one. So as I told you before, you can configure pipeline to execute on a specific time. So you can, for example, run your pipeline every day and make some backup.
So you mean you can make backup of WordPress, of your, I don't know, WordPress installation using Buddy?
Yep. So I think I have this in another Buddy installation. Okay, this is our private installation. Here is Buddy webinar, and here is backup to S3, for example. So let's see how it works. So first, we are connecting to the server over SSH. We are executing WordPress CLI database export command. So we have dump ready to be zip tar.
And then the second command creates an archive of it.
Yep, second command creates archive of it, and this archive will be on your server or on your WordPress server. Then we will connect to this server with another actions, download files from the server, and we will download this backup to the pipeline file system, and then we will connect to AWS S3. This is very good service to keep your backups and upload there your backups every day.
So like all stays on Buddy. Buddy automatically runs those tasks every on time intervals. Could you show it in the settings? Do we have it set up?
Yep. So we have recurrently mode.
Yep.
Every 5 minutes.
Maybe.
And when we jump to pipelines, you can see this pipeline will execute in 3 minutes.
So if you have some sensitive data, you can export it
I think backup
every 5 minutes.
Every 5 minutes, it's okay.
It's
I
much.
think daily is enough for simple about us page, but you can do it.
Okay, and this right. And one more thing, we have a dedicated guide on doing backups on WordPress. So, like I said in the beginning, you can go to the community tab on Buddy's website and switch to guides, and then simply enter WordPress backup to the search field. And there's a guide that will tell you step by step how to create such a pipeline that will automatically create a backup of your WordPress installation. Right, onwards to the next question. How to use Composer in WordPress? I think this is a large one.
So Composer in WordPress, a great tool for WordPress because you are able to keep in your repository configuration of your WordPress installation. Every plugin you are using, every theme you are using, you are able to configure in Composer and keep it in your repository. And based on this configuration file, you can upload this configuration file to the server and just based on it install all your dependencies.
So
on the
in
server.
general, it's all achievable in Buddy.
I will not show this in right now because I don't have right now a project with Composer and plugins inside it.
Well, it's
But
I think it's a good idea for another guide,
yeah,
or
I
maybe
think
a dedicated webinar on it.
we
on
can
it.
do it in,
So-
in first quarter of the next year.
Yep. Yeah, right now. And another one is how can I run database migrations in my pipeline? And we can safely say this connects to the first question about backups because it basically uses the same mechanism.
Yep. So if you want to run some commands on your server, because when you want to run database migration on server, you have to connect to the server and run some scripts on this server. So you can do it with, for example, we will do it for the deploy for our production site. So we can use SSH action, just set up authorization data and run some commands in working directory you want to run.
So it's a nice example of how easily you can expand an existing pipeline in Buddy. So like you have a pipeline that builds the website, deploys it to the server, runs some tests, and then in the end you can migrate the databases if everything is okay. But simply by adding one action.
Yep.
And also we know that lots of you are WordPress experts, but those new to WordPress, we recently added a new guide on that will show you how to use the most useful WordPress CLI commands. Thank you, Maciek.
Thank you, Maciek.
Thank you, Maciek, for this. And it's all there in our guide section. Also, you can browse our documentation, and there's a separate article on migrating databases with scripts that will show you how to do it. I think you can find it in the pipelines section of our docs. And what is the time? We have a full hour.
Question?
Do we have another question? No. No, not right now. We just passed the one hour
Okay.
1 hour margin. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. If you have any questions, please write those questions. Send those questions on
You can
intercom.
put it in the comments or simply reach out to us on the live chat. And if you have any suggestions or you would like you're not sure how to optimize your workflow, go ahead, send us the URL to your account. Rafa will have a look, time providing.
Okay, so if you want to use Sandboxes, this is in private beta, please send us a message as well, and we will turn on this feature for your
because
accounts.
it's not available in all accounts, but if you're interested in giving it a try, just let us know.
So Sandbox feature will be will have general availability in first quarter in the next year. So
Okay,
everybody will be ready to use it.
Thank you everybody for attending. Stay safe during these crazy times.
Thanks to Lucas and Jarek.
Thank you,
for your
Lucas
help.
and Jarek, for your help. Have a family Christmas time. Get some rest, and let's see each other in 2021. Hopefully, a better year than the one behind us. Thanks a lot, and see you next time.
Stay healthy.
Stay
Bye.
healthy. Cheers.